welcome back to Crimson Glass on YouTube, and this is part 7 in Writing Fool Me Twice, book 1. The first draft is done. The last time we talked was in September. I think I talked about how I had just finished up Discovery. We were all storybooked all the way through. I had done all the scenes. I had done all the soundtracks. I was as ready to write this story as I have been ready to write any story I've ever written. I was really excited by that. I had never known a story as well as I knew this one. I had planned it out, every single scene, every single beat to the end of the story. Every single chapter had a soundtrack, which gave me kind of like the emotional thing I was looking for. My subplots all had like A, B, C's, and D's. Like everything was as planned out as I could make it going into the first draft starting October 1st. And then I meant to check in a few times while I was writing, but then a couple of things happened that were a little insane. And if you follow me, you already know most of them, but just in case, let's recap. September 28th, like 3 days before I was supposed to start the draft, I got a full-time job. I am a teacher. I am a full-time French social studies teacher, which is a weird job to have, but I love it. And I started that on October 1st. Funny story, I started that September 30th, and that was a Wednesday, and then the very next day was October 1st. And I went back and forth a lot of times in my head, like, okay, do I want to change my deadlines? Like, what do I want to do? Because I know how hard this job is going to be. Like, I know, and especially this particular job, this particular year, because I had hybrid classes. So I was teaching partially online, partially in the classroom, and then also I was teaching entirely remote some class. It was a lot. And I also had a curriculum that, like, this is the first year French has been introduced in the district, so we don't really have a program. So I actually don't teach French. I teach French, but I also teach French culture, and that did not exist. So like everything I had to do had to be created from scratch. So I was handed this and I did not know it was necessarily this when I walked into the class, and it's fine. Like I've had a lot of fun putting it together, but I had like a decision to make. Was I still going to like do this? Like was I still going to try to write a draft in 2 months? Because I had said October 1st was the day I was going to start. November 30th was going to be my day to end because I was going to use it for a NaNoWriMo project. So I thought it over, and I talked to Anne. She was my beta and like my go-to guru to kind of, reality check. And I decided to take it as I went. I had already decided I wasn't going to try and go crazy from day one. I was just going to build up stamina slowly. I use Pacemaker, which allows me to say, am I going to start big and small levels every day? Like I could create an intensity, a goal, and then that would help me stay on, task. And then what that did is actually it created like the word counts initially for the first week or so were really low. And it was like, just write 300 words today. I'm like, I can write 300 words today. Just write 600 words today. And it started to grow as we went along. And then there would be days when I did not finish, but because on the days when I did finish, I wasn't writing 300 words, I was writing 1,000 words. By and large, by October, I was actually ahead of myself pacing-wise for word count. I was not chapter-wise in a good position. I think in order for that November date to have really been really realistic, I needed to probably have been closer to chapter 13 or 14, and I was more like chapter 9 or 10. I was just a couple of chapters off. And then I thought, well, no, November is going to be okay because I have 2 4-day weekends. We have Thanksgiving, we have the NGA convention, and, we'll see. And then the first week with that NGA convention, which doesn't happen because, COVID, the election happened, and I didn't get a lot of writing done. I did a lot of staring and wishing and hoping and worrying and just like freaking out for like a whole week. And then I was writing for that next week, and then I got put in quarantine because somebody at my school that I came in contact with tested positive. I am totally fine. I came off of that. We're all good. And then before I was able to finish my quarantine and go back to work, my district went remote. And so November was interesting, and I still probably could have made it. But there were just days where like my mental health was just not there. And I think what I really learned in this particular first draft was just like being kind to myself in a way that I don't normally do. Like if there was a day I didn't write, I just said, okay, I'm not writing today. Today's not a writing day. I'll get back to it tomorrow. And I was rich. Normally I'd be a lot more annoyed with myself. I'd be a lot more like, what's wrong with you? Can't you write for 25 minutes? Like you should write something. And like, no, like there were days where like, no, I literally, not even for 25 minutes, not even for like a minute could I have opened up Scrivener and looked at the story and written that day. Like it was not in my wheelhouse on some of these days. And I knew I wasn't going to finish by November 30th, and I was starting to feel a little guilty about it. Just a little bit. Like, and then I think about halfway through, about a week before Thanksgiving, I sat down and I just took stock of, okay, where am I in life? Because like, whew, life. Am I ready to remote teach again? So I ordered back support and a new like cushion, so like I could be ready. Am I ready to do, what am I doing? So I looked at my goals and it's like, okay, this draft is not going to be done by November 30th. It's just not going to be done. Maybe December 6th, maybe December 15th. But it's so really not going to be done December 30th that we just have to November 30th. We just have to let that go. Just let it go. Not going to happen. What can I do by November 30th? I can win NaNoWriMo. And I did. And I am really excited. This is the first year that I have, in November, written 50,000 words for a project that you are actually going to get to see. I am going to revise all of the stuff I wrote in November, and it's going to be in the next draft. Like last year when I did Broken Girl, I won, but you guys ended up not seeing any of that draft. And the year before that, I wrote Mad World. I wrote a version, I think, of Mad World. You guys ended up not seeing that draft. So, no, I wrote Counting Stars the year before that, and you guys have never seen that. So, this was the first year where I managed it, and I managed it with a full-time job in a pandemic. And it's because I have just, learned to go with my own flow. When the story is working, I'll write it. And when my brain is not working, I will not write. That is a very valuable lesson to learn. So, I wrote 184,000 words over 33 chapters in 78 days. And I want to let that sit there. I'm going to repeat that. I wrote 184,000 words over 33 chapters in 78 days. I'm tired. I finished it last night around 8, and then I went online and gushed about it for a minute to who I thought was going to be the Patreons, but it's the entire world, and it's fine. What's the roadmap going from here? Where are we moving? So the vlog series is going to move into editing. So we're going to go into revisions. I'm going to look at the beta draft. I'm going to do all that, but I am not touching this draft for 2 weeks. We are not looking at this again until January 1st. The point of that is A, it's going to be 78 days to write it. So I don't remember large portions of what I wrote. I remember general gists, but I couldn't tell you the majority of it. By the time I get to January 1st, it will be a full month since I have looked at most of the story. And that's kind of where you kind of want to start with. It'll give me a chance to reread the story with a fresh eye, and I will be able to be a little bit more critical of the writing. The plan is to spend about a week rereading it and constructing the beta draft, about 3 to 4 weeks writing the beta draft, and then 2 weeks on the posting draft. And what that means is the beta draft is where I add all the new scenes, or I cut anything that needs to be cut, I smooth out, I rewrite. It's where I basically take apart the draft and reconstruct it into something that looks good. I actually don't think that's going to be as hard as I thought it was going to be, or as hard as it was in Mad World, because I did so much discovery, I knew so much of what I was doing, and the things that are a little uneven here are just, there were a couple of characters I just didn't know. There were a couple of subplots I didn't investigate fully. And it's just one of the things, you can't do it until you write. And that's why you do a first draft a lot of the time, is because most of the time, you learn more about what you're writing as you write. And that's why I switched to this whole, you don't read what I write until I'm finished reading it. I don't publish it anymore the way I used to, because I want that freedom to be able to go back and make the story better. And I think you'll find that every book I've done that with lately, since I started Mad World, the series, Mad World Book 1, that is the approach I have done. And I think you guys have found that it's hopefully my writing, which was all right before. I think, we can say, I think I'm a pretty good writer. I like everything I've written in the last 2 years, and most of the time I hate everything. So that's the plan. I am going to have it ready. Will be February 16th, February 23rd, something like that, for the posting draft, when it'll be published. And I'll be checking in with, vlogs. How's the editing going? Where am I going? What am I learning? I'm really excited because I feel like this is the first book I've written where I know so much about the process, and I've edited it and I've revised so much that we're putting it all into practice. And I look forward to checking in with you guys. So, Fool Me Twice, book 1 is done. We are here. We are ready. We are going to move forward. I will see you guys in the next one.